Hey y'all, it's Bailey with Reclaim Grace. I'm so happy you clicked on this video. I have 3 projects ready to go for y'all using the new IOD Spring Collection. I hope y'all enjoy these projects and we're going to get started right now. Our first project today is a super easy one. I thrifted this white ceramic teapot from Salvation Army for 99¢. I gave it a good bath, let it dry really well, and I'm going to take a transfer from the new spring collection Wild Blowman. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I loved this purpley floral transfer and it fit the surface really well, so that's why I chose this design. It stuck and transferred like a dream. I just rubbed all over and then picked the side to start lifting up and rubbing at the same time. Once I got it fully transferred, I took that protective backing and rubbed over top of the transfer really well. This is called burnishing. Then I am just going to give it a quick seal with some matte polyacrylic, just trying to go over the transfer itself. Like I said, super easy. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this one. I priced it for $19.95. Our next project are these thrifted wooden frames. One, they did not come with the backing, and one came with glass, the other did not. But they are a matching set, and that's why I picked them up. I paid like $1 a piece for them. We'll start by just ripping out the staples on the edge of the frame and removing the glass and the staples from the other thrifted frame. Next, I'm going to give the frames a good clean just with a shop rag and some Windex. I will not be painting these frames. I really like this color wood tone, so I'm just going to give them a good clean and leave the frame alone. Now I'm going to take some measurements to cut out a 1/4 inch piece of plywood. I needed two 12 by 9 inch pieces of plywood. Next, I'm going to take my Fabri-Cast resin. This is resin I have linked in my Amazon store. It's a lot cheaper than other resins I've used since I use quite a bit of it. This is just a better option for me, and it works the same as a lot of the more popular brands. I'm going to equal parts of A and B into my mixing cup, and here you're going to watch me create a huge mess. But just get the resin in there. I'm using a stick to make sure the resin is evenly poured and into all the nooks and crannies of our beautiful bloom. This is blossom mold. Within 10 and 15 minutes, once it turns fully white, I can pop our castings right out. And this has to be probably my favorite mold from this new spring collection. I played around with my castings to figure out placement and have some kind of game plan. I took a picture of it once I was happy, and now I'm going to remove the castings and secure the piece of plywood to our frame. I'm going to be using a framing gun to do that. If y'all thrift old frames and love to, make them over like I do, this is a great tool to invest in. It's super easy, works kind of like a staple gun, and it's about $30. It's also linked in my Amazon store. This is probably one of my favorite tools right now. So I'm going to get that center part secured and then replace my castings back onto my frame. I squeezed out some Titebond Quick and Thick glue on a little surface beside me, and I started off by using my finger to apply the glue to the back of my casting and then pressing it onto the plywood. I came in with an old cheap paintbrush to get rid of any excess glue squeeze out and a baby wipe. I found sometimes I needed to reheat up the back of my casting to make the resin more flexible because the little buds weren't laying flat. And once you heat it up, it just becomes more pliable, and I could get those little buds on the end of the casting to make good contact with the plywood. My biggest tip for you here is do not apply a lot of glue. You really don't need much glue. Just try to apply it evenly and as thin as possible. Now I'm going to move on to my second frame, securing that piece of plywood in and then figuring out my placement for this side. As you may have noticed, I'm coming in from opposite corners, so when the frames are sitting beside each other, it kind of looks like the center of both frames is the trunk. Here I'm showing you, in case that did not make sense, I'm starting from the bottom, different bottom corners. So now I'm going to create some paint, thickened paint using some salt wash and Fusion Cashmere. I did probably 1/3 salt wash to 2/3 paint. And now we're just going to paint that center artwork area. I'm taking my time cutting in around the edges since our plywood's already secured in. And if I get some on the frame, I'll just take a baby wipe and clean up any mess. Just getting the paint on, and then I will come in with a dabbing and stippling motion to create some texture on that flat surface area. I did 2 coats like this with the white paint on both frames, and when it came time to paint the castings, I came in with a smaller artist brush to cut in right here in these corners, these tight corners, and into all those little small areas. And when I am using that thickened paint, it really helps hide the gap between the resin casting and the plywood. While I continue painting these frames, I wanted to take a second to thank y'all for being here with me today. We are almost at 8,000 subscribers, and I was just asking y'all to get me to 7,000 subscribers, I feel like last week. So thank y'all for supporting me. Y'all are my people. Y'all enjoy the same things I enjoy. I'm the only crafter in my friends group. So, people don't understand what it's like and to have an obsession with these items that we create with. So just thank y'all for being here today, and I'm going to tell y'all what I'm doing right now. So I grabbed 2 yellow butterflies from that Wild Blowman transfer book. I just wanted to add a little bit of color to our artwork. I decided to grab this yellow butterfly to look like he is sitting on one of the blossom buds. Now we are going to come in and bring out all that gorgeous detail with some Fusion Agent Wax. I wish I would have came in with some clear wax first, but it's okay. I still like the way it turns out. I'm going to seal over the entire white surface with the Agent Wax, come in with a blue shop towel and a baby wipe just to pull back a little bit more of the dark wax and buff off all the excess. I went around the wooden frame with the Agent Wax also just to give that wood a nice drink, buffed off that excess, and then this project is done. I love, love, love how these came out. I think the butterfly is the perfect detail to these. I'm going to price them for $19.95 a piece. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this project. Our last project for today's video is a pretty intense one if you ask me. We're going to start off with this gorgeous new mold. This is Trimmings 4, and we're going to be using that larger border design. I'm going to use my Faber-Cast resin again, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you I probably will not sell this piece because of how much resin it used. I don't really know. I need to figure out the calculation because we are going to be casting 13 of this trimmings design to go around a frame of a mirror. So it's probably not the most cost effective project, but like I said, the resin I use is a bit cheaper than the more popular brands. So if I had to guesstimate, I would probably say I used about $20 to $30 worth of resin on this project. Once we got done casting all the molds we needed, I laid them out and I figured out where I needed to cut my 45-degree angles, and I took that to my miter saw and just cut all 4 of the corners to a 45-degree, and they line up perfect. The castings match up pretty well to one another. I'm going to bring you in a little closer here so you can have a continuous pattern going down your project. And there will be some gaps between some of the castings, like this one right here, but once we finish the project, those are not noticeable. They're just going to look kind of weird as we go through this process. I'm going to use quite a bit of Titebond Quick and Thick and spread that on the back of my casting to get all of these glued down. Forgot to tell y'all where I found this mirror. It was at a flea market this past summer and I paid $5 for it. It's a nice large mirror that has been sitting around my house for a while that I did not know what I wanted to do with it. But once I seen these new release products, I knew immediately I wanted to put this trimmings for design around the front of the wood frame area, and it fit so perfectly. So I'm just going to continue gluing these pieces down, applying a good amount of pressure to each casting. And here you can see I had to kind of make a partial cast to fill in that last little area. Now I'm going to thicken some paint. I'm going to use quite a bit of salt wash and some coal black by Fusion, and I even decided to add some more salt wash once I stirred this little bit up. I want a pretty nice thick mixture. Now we're going to come in and paint our frame. This part did take a while. I only had to do 1.5 coats because this black has really good coverage, but it just took a while to get into all the nooks and crannies of the mold. I 100% wanted to make sure all that blue paint was covered, and I did not want any white from the casting to show through. As I'm painting around the edges, I'm taking that thick paint mixture and shoving it in any gaps between the resin and the frame. When it came time to paint the casting, I would dab, swirl, and I even switched to a smaller artist brush to get into the really deep details. I let the black paint dry for a few hours, and next I'm coming in with Paint Couture bronze paint. I only had this much left and really wanted to finish this project, so I'm starting off with a light coat, kind of a dry brush on top of all the details to our casting. So I'm going to start off light and then gradually get a bit more coverage by going over it a second and third time. On the smooth sections to our frame, I just used a very small dry brush amount of the bronze paint and went over that surface area as well. I love how this gold paint highlights all the details to that gorgeous trimming mold. And my goal for this project was to make it look like an old vintage mirror with some gilding that is worn off from time, and I think it came out perfect. Here is how it is looking after the 3 light coats of that bronze paint, and now I'm going to remove all that tape, clean up the mirror, get off any little paint that went under the tape, and this project is done. I absolutely love how this mirror came out. If I was to sell it, I'd probably sell it for about $200. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that price and this transformation. And that is all I have for y'all today. I hope y'all enjoyed these projects. If you got any inspiration from today's video, make sure you hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you have not already, and let me know which project is your favorite down in the comments. Bye.